are so many teachers quitting right now.
Teaching in the year 2025 is not the same career as it was teaching before the pandemic.
I don't know what's happened to education. It breaks my heart.
I feel like we are reaching a point where something's got to give, and I don't know that we can keep going like this.
Okay, this is becoming a genuinely concerning issue. As a substitute teacher, I am encountering a really concerning number of students who truly do not see any value in learning, because as one of the 4th and 5th graders that I was teaching the other day asked me, why do I need to know any of this if a computer or AI can do it for me?
I have 2 hours left of my school day and I'm leaving because I'm so stressed out.
These clips look like a student problem, but the classroom is where pressure from home, technology, administration, workload, and support all collide.
Teachers are quitting mid-year again, at record numbers. Here's one of the reasons why. A student who wasn't assigned to me or my classroom was let into my room by another adult, a teacher's aide, and repeatedly ignored my direction and instructions to leave. Eventually, she repeatedly called me a and threatened me with physical violence, which sent me into a panic attack. I called the office for support, and as soon as the dean of students showed up to my classroom, I left and I went to the stairwell to go cry and have a panic attack. Once I calmed down, which took my entire lunch, I was expected to go back and teach my classes because we had a sub shortage and nobody could cover my classes for the rest of the day. By the end of the day, the videos that the student took of me circulated amongst the student body, and I ended that day sitting at my desk feeling the most powerless and defeated that I've ever felt in my entire life. The student was not given a consequence that was fitting. She was sent home for the day. That was it. I received no apology, no restorative circle from the student or the adult who let them into my classroom, and the paraprofessional received no disciplinary actions. He stood in my classroom and allowed his student to speak to me in a degrading, violent, and disrespectful manner. After that class period was over, I had several students come up to me and say that they wanted to jump to my defense, but they were also afraid of that student and afraid of for their own safety. That's when I knew the profession I once loved was no longer the profession I needed or wanted, and I left a month later. And that story is not unique. Teachers aren't leaving because they don't care about the kids. They're leaving because the system no longer lets them teach kids. They're not allowed to teach self-management. They're not allowed to teach respect or accountability anymore. We are told to keep the peace, keep the bodies in the room. Some are even told to pass at 20%. Just get the kid the diploma. Pass them along so that the data looks good. But when we do that, we're not protecting the students. We're doing them a disservice because they are walking into a world that will hold them accountable. We could have taught them how to handle that with grace, empathy, and reflection, but instead we're told to look the other way. Teachers quitting mid-year every single year is not an exodus. It's self-preservation. And deep down, it's heartbreak because they want to stay. The system is just making it so that staying is at the expense of yourself and your own family.
I subbed for 8th grade today, and it was awful, and I don't even really want to talk about it. It was bad. They're unhinged and they're chaotic, and it's frustrating because I can't do my job. I can't help them be successful because they won't let me. It was such a bad day. It's such a bad day. I'm in such a bad mood.
The first pattern is not that teachers stopped caring. They describe wanting to teach while threats, behavior, missing support, and constant crisis consume the room.
Like a quarter of high school with my sophomores, asking them to go big in their heads. Like, dream your biggest dream. Is your dream to be signed with the NFL, win America's Got Talent, get a full ride scholarship for a university, become the first brain surgeon at the age of 18, win NASCAR? And I do this for a specific project, but whatever. Over the years, these answers have given me a lot of insight as to what's going on with a generation. 10 years ago, everybody talked about wanting to go to college or wanting to get into an internship, and that was really a focus. 5 years ago, it felt like so many people wanted to be doctors and nurses. I think that maybe had something to do with the pandemic, but the last 5 years have been awfully rough on our young people. They are growing up now during a time where the youngest of Gen Z, who are just getting in through high school, are the ones who are really seeing a world that does not have a lot of hope in it. And it's showing in their answers. Instead of dreaming of accomplishing things, instead they have things like, I won $2 billion. I won the lottery. I just won a new truck. I won the lottery. I won the lottery for $2.5 billion. I got $100 million. I won $1 million on Family Feud. There's a handful of kids in there who said things like, I wanted to cure cancer, or I got drafted into a certain team. But the majority of them were all about getting money quickly. We've lost the ability for our young people to dream of doing something and being successful at something in this world. And instead, what they see is exactly what the adults of the world have offered them, which is the only way you can survive is to have a lot of money. Forget hope, forget dreams, just get cash. And I am so disappointed, not in these kids, but in us as an older society who have built a world that's all kids can dream about. So one, adults, this is my call to you to do better. Offer hopes and dreams. And Gen Z, I need you to know there is still hope in the world and that chasing what you really love is worthwhile.
A little girl didn't want to learn how to read because why would she need to when she could have the computer read it to her? Why would she need to know how to count when a calculator could do it, or when she could just take a picture of her math problem and have the AI do it for her? This is a legitimate issue because if for whatever reason we lose the ability to have access to these things, we have an entire generation of kids who's going to be entirely helpless without the internet, and that is not okay. If you as a parent are encouraging this behavior and allowing your child to use AI for everything, you have a problem and you need to be teaching them otherwise.
Technology is part of this, but not the whole answer. The next teachers show what happens when basic reading, directions, and independent reasoning stop being automatic.
Sometimes these kids, I don't understand how they ended up to this point. You know what I mean? Like, I teach 8th grade history, and I have 110-ish students. 2 of them are reading on grade level right now. 18 of them are at a kindergarten level. 55 of those students are between a 2nd and 4th grade level. That's a lot of them. And that's typical of what I've seen lately from students. But it's not just literacy. It's not just literacy, and it's not just like lack of content knowledge. It's not just critical thinking skills. It's basic thinking skills. My students can decode almost nothing. They cannot apply inference. They cannot process questions that are longer than a sentence. They cannot connect cause and effect. They can't track multi-step ideas like in a political cartoon. And it's scaring me a little. Like, I see it every single day.
I don't know what's happened to education. It breaks my heart. I wanted to be a teacher since I was in the 4th grade. Now I'm a teacher and I'm miserable a lot. I love the act of teaching. I love changing students' minds and helping them develop into smart individuals, but I don't do that. I don't get to teach. I spend my day managing behaviors and teaching students how to regulate their emotions. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a behavior specialist. I'm a teacher, and most of my job is managing behaviors. Most of my job is reaching out to admin and parents. That's not what I signed up for, and that's why so many teachers are leaving the profession.
Today, no sooner than I had passed them out, I watched a child look at me and then break it. Just broke it right in half. Something that we didn't even need these for, right? We could have done this whole activity without the magic wand, but I was trying to make it exciting and fun. I try to make class enticing. They just broke it. And then when I was upset that they just broke the wand that we've never even used before, that I spent my own money on this summer when I was spending my personal vacation and time off school looking for things to make their lives better, they just snapped it in half. And they don't care, and they're not sorry. And when I was upset about it, he laughed at me. So it's not like it's ever going to get better. He's not going to care, and this isn't fixable. And I'm just going to throw it away, right? Like, that's that. It's a plastic wand. I can order more on Amazon, but it's not even the point. They just actually really don't care. And to the point that I don't know what we're going to do about it, but something's going to have to change. So talk to your kids about kindness.
This is the role shift: teacher, behavior manager, counselor, parent contact, and motivator, all competing for the same class period. The broken wand makes that cost visible.
And things kids no longer know how to do, and I don't know why. Number one, read a clock with confidence. They're always asking, what time is it? What time is it? I'm like, look at the clock. They're like, I don't know how to read that. And they say that to you with confidence. What's happening? Number two, write in script. Whatever happened to writing in script? I love writing in script. I wish more of them knew how to do this. This is like a lost art. I'm sorry. I love writing in script. I prefer it over print, but they don't teach it in schools anymore. We need to bring that back. Bring it back. Number three, memorize phone numbers. They don't know their parents' numbers. They don't even know what apartment they live in. They don't know what street they live on, which brings me into number four. They don't know their address. We ask them, where do you live? I live down the block. Well, what's your address? I don't know. I'm talking about third graders, y'all. Third grade. And it happened last year when I taught second grade.
Over the weekend, my son had a soccer game. My son is 6 years old. So he's playing with other children that are also 6 years old. So I'm sitting on the sideline with my daughter and my son, and my husband is behind me playing catch the ball with my littlest. So both teams get on the field. The other team starts going like, oh, you're going down, boo, like whatever. So I think to myself, oh, they're a little rowdy. Okay. Game starts. Well, there's one kid on the other team that notices that we're all actively cheering for my son. Okay. So this child on the other team, mid-game, walks over to me, a grown woman, puts two hands up like this close to my face, and goes, psh, 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 you're, except he said it. I have to mouth it because of TikTok. He said the words, you're 6 years old. There's no other way to describe how I felt. I was in disbelief. My daughter and son are sitting with me. They're in shock. The ref is looking at me completely in shock. I go to turn to my husband to tell him, like, this is what happened, but he had already seen it. He was making his way over to the coach, okay? I stand up and go, where is this child's parents? Where is his parents? Who's his parents? Well, guess what? No one claimed him. So that coach ends up pulling that kid out of the game. And I was like, all right, this is it. We're going to find out who his parents are, because surely they're going to see him be pulled from the game. Well, guess what? His parents were actually sitting on the end of the field, knee deep in their phones, completely unaware of anything going on. They had no idea that their son had just done this. This video is already getting really long, so to avoid me going into another minute of talking, I'm just going to end with this, and I'll go into details maybe another time of how I know this. The most disappointing thing is those parents left without even knowing that this took place.
I have a parent in there with me for some of the kids that have disabilities, like different things. Like, she's in there to support me. She watched me teach a whole lesson. I explicitly taught this lesson. I used all of my resources. The students had studies weeklies out in front of them. I had the article up on the board. We went article by paragraph. We broke it down. I asked them questions about it. We dissected the pictures, the whole nine. I did my job. I'm pausing, asking them questions. If you're a teacher, you know, and you use Studies Weekly, like, you know that at the end, like, they do there's a little quiz just to check for comprehension, right? So we get to that point, y'all, and only my same five students could answer the questions. And it was simple things like, who was Benjamin Franklin? Was he a doctor or an inventor? They're saying a doctor.
Parents matter, but a parent-only answer fails the evidence. Devices, consequences, curriculum, pay, autonomy, staffing, and home capacity interact before the classroom ever reacts.
And that was the moment I realized. Our kids don't know how to stick with something anymore. I've been teaching since 1993. And yes, we have always had kids who struggle to focus. But what's happening now is on a whole other level. If you're just meeting me, I'm Melissa, and I have been teaching forever. About 7 to 10 years ago, I started to see a shift. Suddenly, every child had a phone or tablet, and parents, understandably, were using them to keep their kids quiet. Of course, I did it with my own kids sometimes too. But now, it's different. Kids aren't playing outside. They're not learning how to be bored. They're not learning conflict resolution skills. And they don't know how to listen or sit still anymore. I used to show a movie that connected to our lesson, and the kids were so excited. Now I've got kids asking to skip it. They literally can't just sit and watch. Do you remember how it used to feel when the teacher would pull out the cart with the big TV and the VCR attached? Yeah, not anymore. Now kids need constant stimulation. So yes, focus issues have always been around, but nothing like what I've seen in the past decade.
There are so many teachers quitting right now in America, and I can guarantee you it's related to these three things: student behavior and how there are no consequences for horrible student behavior. Number two, no support from admin at all with the horrible behavior. And then number three, the amount of work that teachers put in does not equal our take-home pay. And I know what you're gonna say, but you get paid for summer and for your breaks. Honey, our salary is broken up into 12 months, but we only get paid for the time that we work. They just do teachers a favor and divide that by 12 so we get paid through the summer. But the amount of work that we do outside of the classroom, insane. Some of y'all wouldn't last a day in our shoes.
Teachers are not the ones who earned their degree and they have the depth of subject knowledge, and they are the ones who are deciding what happens every day. The script is, they're going by a script, and the idea behind the script is that any administrator can walk into any classroom on any day of the year and everyone will be on the same page, literally. And this, plus all of the additional duties, responsibilities, and things to cry over in teachers' lives, is the reason why so many teachers really have to stick to that script, is because they literally do not have the bandwidth emotionally, intellectually, physically to do the things that they want to do, even if they have been teachers since the 90s, since the 2000s. Teaching is not the same, and it has gone so deeply into this hole that it cannot be the same again. And this is why the shift has happened, where behaviors have escalated crazy. It's not because of just parents, it's not just because of students, like it's all of these conditions together.
So, like, we're all talking about how public schools are not sustainable, right? But seriously, what is the conversation? Because I am a speech language pathologist. I work full-time in this school. So I'm on a SPED team, and we have a school psychologist, a case manager, applied skills classroom, emotional disability classrooms, STEP classrooms, which is an autism classroom. We have every program that you can think of here in our district, and still it feels like we are constantly on fire in the SPED world. Our evaluation list and reevaluation list is through the roof. I've never seen our list so long, and it doesn't seem to be stopping or shrinking anytime soon. I feel like it's so common that we have pretty extreme behaviors, even from students that are in just gen ed, and parents have concerns, teachers have concerns, so naturally they come to the SPED team. And I guess I'm just like, what do they want us to do?
And that is that about 90% of my job in teaching is managing behavior. I know that I could teach anything, but if they're hanging from the ceiling, it's like corralling cats every day, and I mean feral cats. But it's about managing behavior.
Some of my smartest students are going to fail my class this semester. These are students who are incredibly engaged. They listen, they engage in conversation, they ask questions. However, they're not doing the work. Now, I've had direct conversations with these students saying, what's going on? What can I help you with? And what I keep hearing often is that they don't feel motivated to do work outside of the classroom. Now, we kind of dug deeper and dissected that a little bit more, and really what is going on is they can't self-motivate themselves to do anything that they don't want to do in an independent setting where an adult or superior figure is telling them to do something. And I don't honestly know how to feel about it. I feel mixed emotions. Like, I'm sad to think that some of the students that, if I wasn't looking at my grade book and I was just looking in the classroom, I'd be like, those are the best students over there. But I know they're not going to pass my class. And is it they're not doing the work?
I'm a former teacher and now parent, and I can see a splitting that's happening in society, and it has nothing to do with politics. I did another video regarding this, having to do with a splitting regarding technology and moderation versus not. This is something entirely different, but connected. The splitting is parents who teach their kids versus those that don't. Why are teachers leaving in droves? And many of them are homeschooling their kids. If you were just leaving, it's one thing, but leaving and pulling your kids is a whole nother part. Generally speaking,
that claim needs context. Some parents have time and resources, others face work, language, disability, or access limits. Responsibility matters, but limited capacity isn't indifference.
This is my 13th year teaching high school, and my 10th year teaching AP Lit, my 2nd year teaching AP Seminar, and I've noticed a troubling trend with my students over that period that has progressively gotten worse with a huge spike right after COVID that I can't not talk about it anymore. The trend is that teenagers, kids in general, are significantly less able to critically think or solve problems on their own without help. I've got examples. For example, they will type in, I've noticed this a lot in AP Seminar, they will type in one long, complicated search phrase, and when they don't immediately on the first page of results see exactly what they're looking for, they give up and they come to me, and they, instead of saying, how can I search better or what am I doing wrong, they go immediately to, well, there's no articles on my topic, so I need to pick a new topic. Like immediately giving up after one try of typing a question into a research database that is so complicated and conditional and convoluted that there's no way anybody would come up with results for it. Another example is this happens daily, literally daily in all of my classes, asking a question that is clearly and blatantly addressed in the step-by-step instructions for whatever it is they're doing. And then when I point out, oh, that's in the instructions, they still follow that up with, yeah, but you could just tell me, right? Related to that last example, if I give them an assignment with said step-by-step instructions, like my writing revision assignment, that is 8 very simple steps, every single time we do it, over 50% of my AP students miss one or more of the steps. This problem has gotten so severe that I have stopped regrading written revisions if all 8 of the steps are not followed. And these are not big steps. I'm talking like step 1 is copy and paste the essay from AP Classroom onto a Google Doc. That's step 1 by itself. Step 2 is color code the essay and I give them the key. Like these are very simple steps. These are not convoluted steps. I've started returning them and I won't regrade them until they can complete all 8 of the steps.
So what should fair accountability look like across families, schools, and systems without blaming children or excusing adults? Tell us what teachers and parents are seeing where you live.